Hey, so we're going to be installing an FPC conversion kit on your podpoi. To do that, you're first going to have to disassemble your pods. So getting the capsule out of there, first I popped off the tri-ring, and then getting the capsule out, I like to kind of grip the side of the petal like that and pry the capsule out. And that gets the C-ring out of there. The C-ring's important. If you twisted your capsule, it's possible that could have popped off inside and be in your pod shell, and you'll need to get that out because that needs to stay attached to the capsule. Now we're going to have to actually, because the leash is so much thicker, you've got a modified capsule shell here, and we're going to have to take this capsule out of its shell. So I'm going to pop the C-ring off by kind of using my thumb to push on one side of where the seam is. That helps pop it off more easily. And then removing this O-ring, there's a few ways you can do that. You can kind of roll it up with your thumb. If you have a very tight O-ring, or if you just want to use a different technique, you can actually use the capsule shell to pull the O-ring apart there. And to get the capsule out of the shell, what you don't want to do is use the battery to pull it out, because this button board is going to hold it in there. So you want to kind of grab the button board and pull it out from there. And I like to kind of try and peel the sides of the plastic away while using the button board as leverage to get that out. Now we're going to be putting this into the modified shell that came with the conversion kit. Again, we're going to pop the C-ring off. And I just want to point out here that we've done two different attachment methods for this throughout time. In the past, we've used this small melt that goes right inside the kind of leash cavity of the capsule. And that works fine with a pod shell because you're going to have the C-ring on here and it's going to hold the capsule super securely together. We've moved towards doing this larger melt that actually sits down here by the battery, and that's important for other rigs. Either one works fine, so depending on which one you're doing, it's going to end up going in there like that. But first, we're going to put the capsule into the shell. Now, you want to start with the side of the shell that has the small cutout. The top has a big cutout for the USB. And pop that in there and push the battery in. And now that's going to go that way. Now I'm going to put the leash end in, and actually I'm going to use this one as an example. So I'm just going to take this extra C-ring and the modified tri-ring, which I notice has a much bigger hole to accommodate the FPC. And I'm going to put that on here. And you need to put these on first. Oh, that actually goes the other way. There's an orientation to this. It's not critical, but there's a nice more rounded edge that's going to go on the top side. And this is going to go in. You notice the battery needs to actually be kind of pushed out of the way to get that in there. And that's compressing the foam on the ends of the battery. Don't worry, it's not going to hurt the battery to do that. Get that shell on there. Might help to twist the leash a little bit to help the shell close around it. And then I'm going to pop the C-ring down on there. And I'm going to put the other C-ring that came from my previous capsule shell on the other end. And now the capsule is attached, and we're going to put it into the pod shell. And I like to put it in basically the way I took it out, kind of lever it in from the side and push it in there. And you can basically just shove it in, get it all the way down. And then I also like to align the USB jack with one of the seams, and that makes it easy to charge without removing the tri-ring. Put the tri-ring on. I'm going to pop two of the petals in first, and then kind of hold them out of the way while pushing in the third petal. And you're going to notice with the modified tri-ring and this thick leash in here, there's going to be a little gap on every side between every petal. So that is unavoidable with the thick leash, but totally worth it if you want to get FPC onto your pods.